deposits that they have been doing so every 30 days for the past several years.
Creatures of habit who got spoiled with the SDAs.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And these are the ones who set aside this money meant for something long-term, like for their retirement or college education of their young children. So they tend to commit this to SDAs or time deposits renewable every 30 days. So come 30 days, they simply roll it over and roll it over and roll it over through the years. And given that habit, interest rates has been going down. So the yields that they have been getting has been lower and lower, such that today we have seen prices of goods and services rising higher compared to the balances of their funds in these deposit accounts.
All right. With the expected phase down in the SDAs come the end of November, am I right? What will this mean for the economy, and how much money are we looking at to be injected back into the system?
Yes, it's a lot of money. It's about 1.5 trillion pesos, and that 1.5 trillion pesos will have to look for alternatives. No? It's good for the economy in the sense that it's happening at a time wherein inflation is very low. SDA happened at the time when inflation was thrice the rate at where we are today. It was also happening at a time when the exchange rate was running away. So the central bank today feels it doesn't need the SDA. It can flow back all that cash into the economy, and that money will most likely go to long-term uses or investments, and therefore in the long run should be good for the economy.
Okay, now we're looking at 1 trillion pesos. All these people that make up that 1 trillion pesos now looking at other investment options. And when you say SDA time deposit, let's make a delineation there, because time deposits, the traditional ones we know from banks, earn very little. That's why people aren't putting it there, right? So SDAs are gone. What investment options do we have now?
That's where the good news from Larry will come.
Okay. Most of it really will easily go towards time deposits and saving deposit accounts. But since interest rates in these products have been really low, most of them will look for alternatives. We have alternatives found here in Film Life. We have this product known as Money Tree that has been available since 2004. And it has yielded its investors 8 to 17% compounded per year. It is an investment product, or it's rather a life insurance product, but it has grown the cash values of those who bought this plan, average of 8 to 17%, depending on the funds that they have chosen. Well, I think the best investors that we should be addressing to are those who could spare at least 125,000, which is the minimum of this plan, which is much lower compared to the 500,000 that SDA is requiring.
Okay.
And we suggest that they stay invested for at least 5 years.
So we have a very interesting situation where the minimum participation is actually lower, almost maybe perhaps a half of the required for the previous SDAs. But much lower, but in fact can earn them much larger returns and much higher than the actual inflation rate.
Yes.
Okay. Tell us more about the Money Tree. How does it work? How does one get into it? And when you say that it's a life insurance product, how exactly does it earn you money?
Yes. It's a life insurance product. Let's say, I'll use 1 million as an example so that we can see in terms of easy calculation. So if an investor puts in 1 million, he actually buys a life insurance worth 1.25 million or 1,250,000.
Okay.
Now that 1 million gets charged an entry fee minimum of about 3%, and then it has a chance to grow an average of 8 to 17% per annum, depending on the performance of the bond and stock market, and of course the fund management team of Philam. And then there are exit fees that are reducing from the first year all the way to the 5th year. That's why I think the people who should be interested in here are those who keep on rolling on their time deposits on a monthly basis through the years, and for those who feel that their money they will need more than 5 years from now, like retirement or college education for very young children, then This is the best place to put it.
For those to whom it may matter, is there like a withdrawal feature for this product, or you have to keep your money in there and keep rolling it over?
That's a good question. Withdrawal can be done anytime, but there will be exit fees during the first 5 years, which is reducing from as much as 5% during the first 2 years, then down to 1% up to the fifth year, and then there will be no more exit fees beyond the fifth year.
Okay.
And application process is very easy. They would see any Philip Life representative, just like myself. There's an application process where there is no questions asked, just like none like of the traditional life insurance where you get health questions, you get medical examination. There will be none of that here.
Okay, so no medical. Okay.
No medical, no health questions.
How about age limit?
Age limit, I think the upper limit is age 70.
Okay.
Or I think we have increased it. I think we have a given promo in anticipation of this SDA closure. So I think that has increased significantly.
All right. Do we wait for a Philip Life representative to come over, or if I want to initiate an investment, where do I go?
Yes. Most people know a Philip Life representative already that they can call. Most Philip Life representatives are already licensed in here, or just in case they want to be assigned, they just contact the Philip Life call center at 528-2000.
528-2000.
And Philip Life has a way to assign to them a financial advisor.
Let me close with this. We talked about the SBA investor profile being a bit averse to risk. You talk about the money tree product being linked to the stock market because the funds are being managed. How then do you convince people who got so used to, over the years, being safe and just watching their money grow without these being invested in stocks? How do you convince them then, okay, we have a professional fund management team in place, and even if we're talking about stocks, your money will be relatively safe? Because we're looking at risk-reward appetite here, right? How can you convince the SBA investor to all of a sudden say, okay, I'm going to stocks? You may as well go to the stock market. How does it measure up against risk in the stock market?
Excellent question, I say, Nancy. Well, there are several ways. One is you mitigate your risk if you stay invested for at least 5 years.
Longer haul.
Right.
Okay.
Like we did a study, we look at the historical performances of our funds, those invested in the stocks, where the risk is highest. None of the 5-year periods, there are 10 periods from 1999 when we started this fund, all the way to full year last year, 2012. None of that 5-year block registered a negative return.
So the longer you stay committed through the ups and downs, the more rewarded you will be.
Yes, the higher the average will be. And so far, historically, all of those years has been winning years, higher than the inflation rate. Next is there has to be that belief that Philip Life is an excellent fund manager where you make back us on investments in, where they will be invested, will be in the same, virtually the same stocks that Philip Life also is investing their own money. And then third will be, I say, from my personal experience of owning Money Tree, I get to understand the stock and bond markets much better, while my money is invested in bonds and stocks, professionally managed. So, like learning how to drive easier, let's say using an automatic transmission rather than a manual transmission car.
All right, topping up. Is it as simple as telling your representatives I want to add more, or is there a extra entry fee again if you want to top up?
Yeah, true. It can be done several ways. Could be through the same representative or any other licensed agent, or they can go directly to any Philip Life online branch located nationwide. There's a much simpler process, but this time they will just have to fill a one-page form, and then there's a cashier, or they can pay through other payment channels. It's done.
Okay, it's attached to an insurance product, right? So what if that insurance has to be activated? How does it work then? What's the mechanism?
Oh, they come together. Every time you invest in a top-up, there's a corresponding insurance product in there. So essentially, during the lifetime of the investor, it is an investment product, but just in case the investor prematurely passed away, the plan instantly becomes life insurance.
All right, and can you bequeath this?
Yes, there are beneficiaries named there.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this evening and telling us what to expect now that a big event is coming come the end of November. 1 trillion pesos back into the system. All right, thank you for joining us, Juni Banaan, Philip Life's Head of Equity.